This is part 2 of our 2-part series on intuition and your health. If you haven't listened to the first episode yet, go back and do that, and then join us for the rest of the conversation.
Let's talk about what intuition really is.
Let's look at all the places intuition and ego show up in your life.
Let's share honestly.
Let's do the research.
I'm Jamie Hayhurst.
I'm Heather Wood.
This is the Intuitive Girls Guide.
All right, let's talk about intuition and ego and using them in all of this. Because yes, you need to use intuition, but if you're ignoring the ego part, if you're ignoring the fear part and the sort of logical thoughts coming in, that's not going to help you. Right? Because again, it's this and that.
Correct.
That's literally like the crux of intuition.
I mean, we say it all the time.
I mean, it's like a broken record at this point, but yeah. So one of the things that I think is a really great learning tool and something that you can like work on doing and is such an indicator of emotional intelligence, in my opinion, is the ability to have space between the information that comes in.
Yes.
Like, so you pick up something intuitive or you pick up something fear-based and ego-based, and you just go like, oh, that's information. Let me look at it and then react or then deal with it. And I'm not saying like not have emotional reaction, feel your feelings, but before you just decide what's true or what's right or what you're going to do or freak out or whatever or even be happy, like having that space for a minute is sort of like what you were saying before, where people think their thoughts are just true. Right. It's that same space to be like, oh,
the process.
I have to analyze this and then make a decision. You want to be doing that with both. So the things that you are afraid of when it comes to your health are very, very valid. And if you decide to just dismiss them, they will kick your ass. So for example, I know that you do this because we all do this and not everyone admits to doing it, but everybody does it. I'm convinced. I'll die on the hill. Okay. Something's wrong with you. Something feels off in your body. The first thing you do is Google that shit.
100%.
Okay. And as you're Googling it, you find the worst case scenario of what it could be. Yep. And it's usually cancer. And you then do one or two things. You freak out that you have cancer. Or you go, I'm not even going to entertain that possibility, and you ignore it. Yes. One of those two things happens.
Correct.
Okay. And it could depend on the day. I don't think it's like a universal reaction for every person. Yeah. But both of those don't help.
No, neither of them are helpful.
But if you go, oh my God, I'm so afraid that it could be that. Let me sit with that. Let me look at those symptoms. Let me decide if I should go get a further test about that. Like then you'll like just saying the words like, "Oh, I feel really afraid of that. Oh, I feel really triggered by that," and then making a decision is so much better than either pretending it's not happening, calling yourself a goon, or completely obsessing over it. Right. Exactly. So that's the space. That's what we're talking about. It's all the information coming in.
That is also all or nothing. That like shut down or accept your own death.
Yes.
That's the all or the nothing.
Yes. You're either gaslighting yourself, there's nothing wrong, or you're dead.
You have to find a middle ground of maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm dead. Find somewhere in the middle of those two places.
Yes. But it's okay to entertain your fears for a healthy amount of time.
Yes.
It's okay to sit and be like,
or keep the fear in the back running. Yes. Like, oh, well, maybe it's this. Maybe I should think about it. Like, you know what I mean? But like, don't just decide upon it.
Yes. And don't only let it be in the back. Because it's going to choke you to death. Yep. And it's going to cloud all of the other information coming in. So you want to acknowledge it. And maybe you freak out for a few minutes. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Then reel it in and you'll be okay. Maybe the freak out's worth it. Maybe it is something serious. Probably not. Most of the time it's not.
Yeah, when I have that, I just say it out loud. I'll say it to my husband. I'll be like, oh God, I have a tumor. And he'll be like, okay. And then it's like, as soon as I said it out loud, then we're joking about it.
Yeah, because you take the power away from it.
Because I'm not like, just like paralyzed by it.
Yeah, you're not bottling it up inside of you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So creating that, but also going like, intuitively, I'm picking up this. Fear-based, I'm feeling this. Let me look at all that information, and based on both of those things, what should I like gather from that? What does that tell me?
Right.
That's how you're going to get your information.
Yeah.
Okay. Use tools, intuitive tools, not only, but also. So muscle testing. Such a great thing to try. We have an episode where we talk about muscle testing. But literally, if you're watching, you can see me, but you can just like put your, like loop your two fingers together and pull. And like, if it's true, you won't be able to separate them. If it's not true, it'll easily go through. Like it's not like some divine beings entering your body and doing this for you. It's letting you know what your intuition already currently thinks.
Correct.
Okay.
And if that you can't do, you can have a pendulum.
Yes, that was my next one. You can have a pendulum. Swings this way, like you have to designate. For me, it's front to back is yes, side to side is no. Okay. Yes. Other people do it different. Doesn't matter. Just stick with one. Correct. Okay. You can also use your body as a pendulum. I love this. This is like a fun party trick. Stand with your feet together, close your eyes, and say something. If it's true, you'll tip forward or backwards. If it's not, you'll tip sideways. Yeah. One or the other. Yeah. Use that to help you gain information, help you gain clarity. All right. Any of those tools, great. Tarot. Grab your tarot deck. We have an episode on that. Grab just an oracle card deck and see if that provides you any information. Do all of those things, but also get a blood test.
Yeah, exactly.
Use it all.
Use it all.
Use it all. Right. Okay. My next
just like leave it up to the fates.
Yeah.
The oracle card said I'm dying.
I mean, be careful. Don't. Let me just give a disclaimer. If you're using your tarot deck and you're panicking that you have cancer, you very well could pull the death card and send yourself into a complete and utter spiral.
Because that's what you're worried about in that moment.
Yes, but that tells you the fear you need to look at and explore. So
but it's not confirmation that you're dying.
No, that's not how any of it works. No.
I know.
Fears aren't confirmed by intuition.
Yes.
That's not a thing.
Right.
So, yeah. See our mini episodes on that. This is weird advice. I might be the only person who's ever going to give it.
What?
You can let me know. Be like an algorithm.
Oh, like what?
Okay, so notice all the little things and then make assumptions based on them and then test them.
Oh, that's a very autistic thing of you to say. That's perfect.
Okay, so what your algorithm is doing is based on what you're searching on Google, based on conversations you're having that's listening to.
They say it's not, but it is.
It is. Based on what you stay on for a video, topic-wise, how long you stay on it, if you share it, if you save it, if you comment on it, if you send it to your friends. Like, it's gathering all of that.
The data, yeah.
And then it's going, let's see what happens if we do more of this.
Exactly.
And then when that happens, based on your reaction to that, it recalibrates or it doubles down.
Yep.
And suddenly you're doing research for the podcasts on some crazy ass topic. And then your whole algorithm is that. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I can fix it. I know how to adjust it by going in. But like, or if I'm like, I feel like looking for some recipes. All my TikTok algorithm is going to be his recipes until I search for a few other things. But the thing is, like, actually, that's a great way to be because algorithms are intuitive.
Yes, as long as there's not some evil, nefarious person managing them from behind the scenes, which is not you doing it for your health.
But that's still intuition. They're just using intuition nefariously. They're still using it.
Right.
So it's like, yes. So that's how you have to be. What do you keep being drawn to?
Yes.
Okay. Why do I feel, I don't know. I feel like certain times of year, all of a sudden you need to eat a lot of carrots.
Yes.
Okay. Why? That's just one piece of information. Okay. And then like, you just want to gather that. Now, you know me, I just kind of constantly gather information on you. And then I'm like, actually back in 1992, you also said this.
Yes.
It's not usually that long, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you described this like this, but like this. And if I connect the dots between these, that's how my brain works naturally. Right. But you don't have to be like that to do this. And it's why I know not everyone likes a journal. Jamie doesn't like a journal, but she does use her notes app.
That's helpful for that, though.
Yes, to just like, I'm noticing this is out of the ordinary. I've noticed this is standing out to me. I'm noticing this is feeling different to me. And then when you look at it as a whole, it changes how you feel about it. Right. Yes. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Controversial maybe, but like also your algorithm might be onto something. like my algorithm tells me a lot of stuff about having estrogen that's too high, and I've never once considered that. So it's probably something I should consider.
I agree.
Listen, controversial. I'm not telling you to just trust it, but like, it's pieces of information to maybe consider. Mm-hmm. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I agree.
Okay.
I can't explain it without sounding like a goon, but I'm in agreement with you.
Okay. Use your intuition.
That's also like my theory that I swear to
God. What are you about to say?
I'll have to say it now.
Okay.
I swear that my like the autocorrect on my text, or like the autofill.
Yes.
The autofill on my text messaging. Sometimes I'm like, oh.
That's not what I was going to say, but interesting. Yeah.
And not even like about me, but I'll be like, oh, that reminds me of someone else. Noted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't think it's like doomsday prophecies or anything, but I think it's just something
that's very
that comes
clear
to my
cognizant.
attention. Right.
That's very clear cognizant.
You know?
Yes. That happens to you a lot.
It happens to me a lot.
Yes. But
where I'll be like, this fucking fine.
Yes, but also you're like, that's an interesting piece of information that I'll add to this huge puzzle.
Yes, exactly.
Not just like, well, because I went to text Heather and the word said, you know, roses instead of flowers. Like I must need to call her right now and say roses to her. Like that. Like that's not what you're doing.
Exactly.
That was a weird example, but I just saw the word roses there and I said it.
Yes.
But yeah, you know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, interesting that word would come up.
Exactly.
I feel like I Freudian slip all the time, and I'm like, why did I just say that?
Yeah.
That wasn't the word I was planning. Huh. What do I know that I don't realize I know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Noted.
Okay.
Yep.
So controversial advice, be like an algorithm. Use your intuition not just for diagnosis, but for treatment. This is weird. Like people really only talk about it in like figuring out what's wrong with you,
right?
Or someone you care about,
yeah.
right? But like what you do about it and how you want to treat it should also be something you're consulting your clairs on, and you're making sure feels in line with what you want, and you're listening to your fears about it. Point. You know, so make sure it's for all of those things.
Yeah.
All right, this one we're gonna have to talk about. This may be 2 episodes.
Okay.
Okay. Because I'm gonna say the thing and then I'm going to fix it because I know, okay? But you have to learn to be able to sit with yourself. Okay, here's where I'm going to fix it. What that looks like for people is very different.
Yeah.
And there's actually like privilege in that being easy for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
For me, it's not hard to sit with myself.
It's very hard for me.
I sit with her all the time. She's my favorite company.
Right.
Really.
Right.
Like, what has she got? What are we excavating? What are we looking at? I just kind of exist in a constant state of analyzing everything. So analyzing myself is real easy for me. Okay. But somebody with like ADHD, Jamie.
Yep.
Somebody with PTSD, any kind of trauma going on.
Yep.
If you tell them to just like be better at sitting in your own body and sitting with things, yes, that is excellent advice.
Yes.
But it's not easy for every person. This isn't an equal playing field when it comes to trying to do this.
No, exactly.
So it's why, oh, go ahead.
And sitting with yourself for some people might mean like going for a run.
Yes.
It might mean like running with yourself. Like,
yes,
you might have to move your body. You might have to be like literally sitting might be too hard.
Yes.
But so that's like a neurodiversity issue, or like a nervous system issue. Yeah. Like you said, there could be trauma, and like actually sitting and processing and thinking.
Yes.
Feeling your feelings. That could be very difficult also.
And that's where like people take it too literally.
Correct.
Sitting with yourself doesn't mean you have to be like actually sitting in like a darkened room,
right,
in complete silence.
It just means stop distracting yourself and stop like allowing the stories to play and control things.
So for some people that might look like meditation. But like you always say, like what we don't like is like the green smoothie theory, where like the right thing for everyone is to not wake up at 4 a.m. and drink a green smoothie. Like that's right for some people,
right? But
it's not right for everyone because we're not all the same. Thank
exactly.
goodness, right? That's a very patriarchal concept.
It is.
Matriarchy is community, and it's appreciating that some people getting up at 4 a.m. and other people, going to bed at 4 a.m. makes sense in a community that we would all have different roles doing different things.
Exactly.
That's the matriarchy. That's what would actually...
The community would benefit from all of those roles.
Exactly. Okay. So like anything like that is very patriarchal.
Correct.
Sorry for the tangent, but I feel like it's important.
It's valid.
Okay. So for some people, sitting with yourself might be meditating. Okay. Sometimes it is for me.
Yeah.
Okay. But most of the time it's like doing something physical. Like my body needs to be kind of distracted.
Right.
To be able to really, especially for myself, get there. Okay.
Right.
For you, it might be going for a drive. I feel like that is a good place for your brain because your ADHD has enough to be focused on that you could actually let your intuition, you could sit with something 100%. That you were dealing with. Okay. Yep. For some people, it might be journaling. That also is great for me because it just sort of like, I sort of exist with like scripts and words in my head and stories being written constantly. So getting it out onto a paper actually helps me sit with it. Because sometimes that's also just like saying it aloud to someone. We say that all the time.
I was going to say, for me, it would be just actually verbally processing.
Yeah. Can I say this to you? And yes, get it out and sit with it that way.
Right.
Sometimes it's also doing the thing. So going for your run, going for your drive, lifting heavy weights in the air, another thing you do, right? Like whatever, meditating, journaling. But it's also more than that. It's also then like while you're doing other things, it still sort of plays in the background. It's like the background music. It's your white noise of like, let me keep churning this. Let me keep bringing it back. Let me keep sitting with it. Like, and really looking at it because that's magic. Like, I don't mean to be cheesy, but that's like literally magical when you can do that. And then you can choose your course of action.
Right.
So
I agree.
Yes, sitting with yourself. No, it's not the same for everyone. And no, it's not as easy for some people. And listen, if someone's like, you really need to just sit with that and you're someone dealing with like a lot of trauma and you're like, I can't, that's okay. Go do what you need to do to manage the trauma in your body first. That's always the priority.
Yeah. Good point.
Okay. We got to talk about the search for root causes.
Yeah.
I love a root cause.
Same.
But I don't like that we use it to sort of victim shame people when they have an illness.
Okay.
It gives me a stomach ache. So it's sort of like your bad thoughts caused your cancer.
Oh, that. Yes. Yes.
What the fuck? Like, that was never what that was. That's really, it grinds my gears,
irresponsible.
Jamie. Yes.
I mean, it's many things, but
I feel like you should be jailed if you're telling people that kind of shit.
Agreed.
And there was a time in the early 2000s where that was like a thing. It's still a thing. I still hear people.
But that's the swinging of the pendulum because so many times in the medical community, you know, the stereotype is no one's looking at root causes. They're just giving you meds for everything. Here, take this pill. Here, take this pill. And so people...
treating symptoms.
Right. Treating the symptoms, not treating the root cause. And so people swung the other way and started looking at root causes. That's wonderful.
Yes.
You and I both did that journey, right? Like we do that all the time.
Yes.
But then it becomes extreme. Because you've now shunned the medical community. Now it's like, well, we're only looking at the root causes and how it's in my body and how I've affected it and what it means for my life. And then the pendulum is like swung up into outer space. You've completely lost the plot.
You've lost the plot and you're missing out on the actual best thing for yourself.
Right.
You sort of screw yourself over. Listen, both of us have done that. It's not judgmental. It's just what happens. Okay.
No. Yeah, no. We were both like walking down that pipeline.
Yeah, I don't mean that we were like, oh God, I have this thing, so the only thing I'm ever going to do is, you know, meditate and drink a green smoothie and become better. I don't mean that. I just mean we've had moments in our life where we've gone like, I'm not going the medical route because I've had so much trauma there. I'm just going to sit over here and I'm going to completely block that out as an option. That's what we've done. We haven't been like, oh my God, I blame myself for this whole thing.
No, but we certainly like were on that pendulum as it was like societally swinging.
Yes, that's true.
And I'll say I sort of yanked us off of that pendulum as it came out.
You need a friend in your life who cuts and runs fast.
Yes, you do. It's helpful. Yeah, I did
They
cut
probably
and
are
run on
an
that.
abandonment person.
I did cut and
And
run
listen,
on that.
sometimes she tries to cut and run from things before she should. And
True.
I say,
No,
whoa.
you're like, hold on.
Yes. But what's really beneficial when you're someone like me who's a rejection person, and I think this is also true for fraud people, we sit too long in the place or with the people because we see the good in it, or we think we can turn it around, or we don't want to just leave. We want to like sit here and fix it. Like that is a problem with people who those are their main fears.
Right.
But you get an abandonment BFF, she's out. Like the first whiff of something.
Bullshit.
She nope, see it, we're out of here. You've literally pulled me out of rooms. I'm not exaggerating. Like you've put your hands on my body and said, now we're going.
Right.
Because I don't do that well.
Right.
You need somebody like that in your life.
Right.
And I'm not trying to like glamorize being an abandonment person, but there are definite perks
benefits,
and benefits to that. And that is one of them.
Yeah.
And you did that.
We pulled ourselves out of all those communities, all of those things that were sliding down the pipeline. And we walked away from it.
Yes.
Graciously and kindly.
And we're here
for the most part,
calling it out. We started
a podcast, but like, but like it's a slippery slope is what I'm trying to say. That it's very easy to feel like, yes, I'd like to know the root cause of this. Yes, I'd like to know what this means in my body energetically, but then it's so easy to be like, okay, that's all I'm ever going to look at.
Yeah.
Oh, what's my body trying to tell me? When it's like, it needs antibiotics.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And I feel like I'm laughing. Like I don't want it to come across like I'm dismissive of it. I'm laughing because
it's so real. That's how people are.
So valid.
Yes.
And it's so easy to get trapped in that, right? Like, listen, I don't want to take an antibiotic. The reason is not because I'm just like the most woohoo person and I never want a bad thing in my body. No, that's not true. The reason is that because I'm so sensitive, my system
hates it.
Hates an antibiotic. Yours doesn't like it either. But like, I'm going to be a different kind of sick from whatever I am.
You will be. Yeah.
So if I got to take it, it's got to be bad.
Yeah.
Okay. But that doesn't mean I don't take it when I need it.
Right.
Right. Like, so you've got to find that part of your intuition that meets the critical thinking and goes like, here's what we do.
Well, just like intuition and ego should always be in a balance in your life, whatever that means for you. Like you need to have a balance of those two voices or energies or whatever.
Yep.
You should then be finding that same balance in all aspects of your life.
Yes. Say it again for the people in the back, because yes, that's everything. That is literally the trick to anything in the whole entire world forever and ever and ever. Amen.
Yep.
It's called fucking balance.
Balance.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So when you find yourself like swinging towards an extreme, that's not balance.
Yes.
It might be valid that you're doing it. You might have every reason to not trust whatever that other side is or that other, argument is, but like you have to find yourself in the middle.
Absolutely. So find the root cause. In fact, a lot of times someone's just talking to me about something they've got going on. I just intuit a root cause that has to do with something emotional. Now, does that mean the emotional thing caused the problem? It absolutely does not. Does it mean that it's part of the problem? Yes, it does.
Well, that's where irresponsible practitioners come into play. It's because they're saying the emotional or the energetic meaning of this disease or illness or injury is X. But they either don't know enough or they don't care enough to explain more.
Right.
That there is
both, I think,
there is an energetic meaning.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that your body's to blame for having that. It doesn't mean that you're at fault now.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it caused heart disease or whatever the hell is happening in your body. It just means that that's something that's happening in your system.
Exactly. It should just be a piece of the puzzle for you. Right. It should just be a piece of information that you go, oh, I'm going to work on that as I also seek this other treatment.
Right. Yes.
It's just part of it. Like and you'll set yourself up to be taken advantage of if you don't really work on those concepts. And that, I really don't like that. So, you want to work on healing the root cause that you find, okay? But you also want to work on what you could treat it with medically if you choose that, or in other ways, right? Like you might need a lifestyle change. You might just have got dealt a bad genetic card. Like there's so many things,
right?
You know?
Okay. We'll be right back after this short break. You know what goes great with podcast listening?
A great cup of coffee from a great coffee shop.
Yep, beans roasted in-house, amazing baristas. You know where I'm talking about.
Restoration Coffee. Can we go?
Yes, I need an Americano and maybe a panini too.
Ooh, I need blueberry maple latte and probably a resto bowl.
Ooh, yeah. Check them out and visit restoration-coffee.com.
Keep checking in on yourself. This is another interesting mistake I think we make intuitively. And I think it's also indicative of sort of like a patriarchal system. But it's like intuition doesn't work in this way where it just like proclaims a truth and then you don't have to keep sitting with it, or you don't have to keep checking back in on it. Like, oh, my intuition said that this is what I need to do. And then you just don't think about it anymore.
Ever again. Right.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, actually, that sounds nice. I wish it kind of worked that way.
Well,
but
that's why people do that.
Right. But it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, you need to keep, like, is this still the right path? Is this still what I want to be doing? Like, maybe you decide to get on medication for something. Great. Maybe that's the decision you make. But, like, you should keep circling back and going, is this still right for me? Maybe you decide to sign up for 25,000 Reiki sessions.
Right.
And you go once a week. At some point, you should go back and go, is this still right for me?
Yeah, do I still need this that might happen when you're going to therapy.
Yes, is this still working for me?
Every week. Is this still working for me? Could I go every other week? Could I go once a month?
Do I need to go more often?
Sure, exactly.
Do I need to go every day?
Right, exactly. You know, but like that, you should always be checking in.
Yes, because you're always changing. Right. You're always evolving. You're not sitting in the same place all the time. Right. Even if you're like not trying, you're changing. That's what time does, right? Yep. So like you need to just keep going. And it doesn't invalidate the thing your intuition said if it's no longer true. Like this is not a medical thing, but it's sort of, I think, a good example where people will say, my intuition really told me I should be with this person and date them and be in a relationship with them. And then my intuition a year later was like, we don't want this anymore. So my intuition must have been wrong back then. No. That's not how intuition works.
No.
That's what was right for you at that moment.
Right. That's why you always check in with your intuition, because you are always changing.
It's not right anymore.
Right.
Sorry, that sucks. It's inconvenient. But you're not invalidating the thing. How often do you hear people say to us like, oh, I went to school and I spent 10 years in this field of study and now, oh, it's so hard because my intuition is like telling me to do something else now. So I must have screwed up, or I should have listened back then. It's like, no, you did. Yeah, you did the thing until it was done. It's not forever.
Exactly. And again, that's patriarchy telling you that you have to have the same job for 40 years.
Yeah. It's kind of like, well, I took a shower a month ago. I don't know why I'm stinky.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You gotta
things change.
Things change. Right. Things happen.
Right.
Okay. Stories are magic. Read about or listen to other people who have dealt with similar things. This is one of the there's plenty of things that social media has done to hurt us. I believe this is one of the things that's done to really help us is the access to other people's stories and accounts of what they're going through. Should you only base everything on that? Absolutely not. But should that be something that you, like in listening to someone tell about an experience that they're having that you can relate to, whether you suspect you have the same illness or you suspect that you've gone through a similar thing, in listening to that, you gain so much. Like it's like an intuitive exercise listening to a story.
Yes.
It's why our pagan ancestors loved fairy tales and sat around fires and talked. Like we knew this.
Yep.
So in doing that, listen and feel what's right. I'll sometimes hear someone talk about something that worked so good for them. And I instantly know it won't work for me, but I 100% know it worked right for them.
Right.
That it's not invalidating. It's just like gaining information. And other times someone says something and I'm like, that's the thing I want to try. Right. And that is so helpful to expose yourself to.
Yeah.
in addition, how you tell yourself the story about your whatever issue or whatever thing you're dealing with is, I don't think I could understate how powerful it is.
Agreed.
It is everything. And something that comes to mind about this is a kind of an extreme example, but there's all this controversy, and there's actually study in it, which you can look up. It's very interesting. About if someone, like a doctor realizes that someone has 6 months to live or something, if they should tell them. Because there's all kinds of interesting study on the fact that like people would die then within the 6 months. People who weren't told would live a lot longer because their story isn't I'm dying and then their body follows the dying.
Right.
And again, I don't think that that's the thing that saves you or doesn't save you, but I do believe it could be a factor.
Well, there's power in the mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, when you have like a bad cold, like the kind that you're like, you got like bronchitis or some shit or the flu, right? You know, the cycle is sort of like the cycle of grief, like the stages where you get to the one where you like feel so bad for yourself. You have to do that. You got to allow that. Right. But like you feel worse.
Definitely.
And as soon as you're like not feeling so bad for yourself, you're like pushing yourself through or you shift your mindset, you literally start to feel better.
Yeah.
There have been times when I've been so worried about something like physically being like broken or whatever. And like, as soon as a doctor tells me it isn't, it feels a little better. That's a real thing because your brain is connected to the rest of your body and your fear is like, please check this out for us. So it heightens the experience for you until you check it out and get the information for your brain.
Yep. That's a good point.
It's a real thing. So if you're telling yourself a story that like, I'll just use like myself being hypermobile, for example. If I'm telling myself the story that the fact that I'm hypermobile makes it so I can't do anything, or like, oh God, poor me, I'm hypermobile, or oh, my body hurts so much because of this, then I'm going to feel like shit.
Yes.
And then I'm going to keep myself from doing things I want to do.
Right.
But instead, if the story is, this is what I know about hypermobility, and this is what I know helps me support myself doing things while I'm hypermobile, that is a very different thing.
Absolutely.
I'd like to be like, oh yeah,
outcome.
You can't do it? Watch this. Watch this hypermobile person do that.
Yep.
Yeah. That's important. And am I trying to like gaslight you into always thinking positively? Absolutely no, I am not. But the whole story you tell yourself is a big deal. Yeah. Remember to use your intuition to call in what you need. So calling in information.
Yes.
I feel like you and I are pretty good at this. Like, okay, I'm putting it out. Let me call in.
You're very good at that.
The information, the doctor. I think I'm really good at the person. Like
you are.
I need the right person and calling that person to me. I do that pretty well. Resources, support. Sometimes calling in is actually telling someone. There are times where I say to my husband, I'm going to tell you something and I don't want any solutions brought to my attention. I would just like to complain.
Yeah.
And he'll go, okay. And I will, and he'll listen. And there are times where I'm like, okay, you can give me solutions now.
Right.
Like sometimes you're actually saying it. That's still calling in the support.
Definitely.
But like beam it out. Like send me this.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
People forget to like actually sit and consciously do that, but it really does work. Talking it out with someone. Maybe it's your therapist. Maybe it's your best friend through Marco Polo, which still hasn't sponsored us yet, which makes no sense.
Lame.
But like whatever. Talk it out to someone, get it out of your own head and use words to get it out of your body. And it's going to be very helpful, especially if it's someone who knows you pretty well.
Yeah.
That's going to be very helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. Speak to an expert. It's just gathering information. Maybe you're like, I don't want to go to this doctor over here because they're going to tell me I need surgery or something, right? And I don't want to get surgery, so I'm not even going to go. All you're doing is going and listening to an expert, hopefully an expert, give you information that they're an expert in, and then you make the decision.
Yeah, you're also the boss of your own body. Even if someone says you need surgery, or you don't have to do that.
No, I always, I like live by this rule. I don't make a decision about something that I don't 100% feel good about in a moment ever.
Right.
I mean, listen, there's been people who sales pitch stuff to me and they don't like it when you're like, I'll think about it and I'll get back to you. I literally will think about it because I know not to do that. And I know I'm being triggered by my own shit when a doctor is telling me something.
Yep.
And I know I need to get the heck out of there. I need
Think
to
about
process it. I need to deal with it. I need to talk to other people about it and then figure out what to do. Even if this person ends up being exactly right, that's still what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And it's helpful to you. But it's not, people do this with like medical doctors, I feel like. But then they go to like a medical medium or a healer and they like don't do it anymore.
That's a good point. Yeah.
No, still do it.
Think about it.
If a coach is like, you need this program and, blah, 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 maybe you do. But if they're like, you have to sign up right now, walk away.
Right.
No. Because if the program's right for you, when you think about it, you'll want to do it.
Yeah.
So.
That's right. That's a good point.
You can't, even with the best intentioned healer or intuitive or whatever, can be wrong about you. They can get the information incorrect.
Yeah, and no one ever, but no healer should be pressuring you to make a decision on the spot about anything. That's the first red flag right there.
Yes, that's always a red flag. I mean, I understand if a medical professional is like, we need to act right away, so you need to get back to me by tomorrow.
Well,
like,
yeah,
I understand that.
Yeah, but not like
happen.
You need to sign up for these Reiki sessions
right now.
Right now, if that's happening, never again. Don't ever go back there again. No.
No matter who you're talking to for an expert, you are the expert on you. You're the expert on yourself. And only you know what it feels like in your body to take this stuff in. So only you can really know the answers. Be really aware of shame and guilt when it comes to being like talking to people. So one thing that happens to me is if a doctor is telling me something that like, oh, this seems off, and I don't already think it's off, I feel like shame starts hitting my body.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like they saw this and you didn't.
Oh,
what are you talking about? Like it's a hypervigilance thing. Like I'm supposed to be aware of everything, right? I clock it when it happens and I take a breath and I go like, no. We're safe here. This is safe.
Yeah.
This is their job to tell me that but you just need to know this about yourself because otherwise it's going to drive your decision to a place you don't want it.
Yep.
Okay. Feeling guilty because you're telling someone no, or not going back to a doctor because they didn't treat you the way you wanted to be treated. Catch that. That's going to, again, steer you away from your intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're somewhere that you feel disempowered, intuitive healer or medical professional or anything in between,
Get out. Just be done.
Nope.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I just have a question. I like to tell people questions to ask themselves. This is the magic one. And it's not just for your physical health, but it's what do I need and how do I need it to show up? That's it.
That's a good thing.
Keep asking. Ask it all the time.
That's smart.
Sometimes you won't have an answer. Sometimes the answer will be like, I need an ice cream. Sometimes the answer will be like, I need a lifestyle change. Like
I need some sleep.
Yes, I need more water.
I need to move more.
I need a cup of coffee. I need to quit my job. I need to change my relationship. Like sometimes it'll be big, giant things that you hear the answer to, but sometimes it's little. And it's all very valid. Yeah. What comes up? And when you ask yourself that question, your intuition and your ego will answer. Intuition will answer first, and then your ego will react to the thing your intuition just said. And listen to all of it. It's all things you need.
Yeah. It's a good point. Especially if you're not taking the time, like you said earlier, to sit and process or to like take a beat. You're not going to be able to ask that question.
No.
If you're just like moving through, if you're just reacting, then you don't have a chance to ask yourself that question.
Absolutely. And listen, you're going to have moments where, like, listen, we teach this and we do this. You just react.
Yeah.
Just plenty of times where I'm like, wow, that was not the way I wanted to handle that. Right. But that's just what happened. Yeah. It's not about being perfect all the time or being some sort of master at it. It's just about like showing up about it and like trying and going like the majority of the time I'd like to operate this way.
Yeah, doing the best you can.
Yeah. Best you can is like a real good thing.
Yes.
If it's actually the best you can.
Yes.
By the way.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? Anything you'd add to using your intuition for your own health and medical stuff?
No, I think we covered all of it.
I think that a lot of times, especially women, and especially as you get older, things that feel off or aren't working feel like you're just supposed to accept them instead of realizing that they're probably symptoms of a bigger thing. I just think of like how many women in their 40s I talk to who don't sleep well.
Yes.
Different things like that. And I just say, like, if your intuition's telling you something's off about it, it is, and keep fighting. Find the person that will help you figure it out.
Yeah, keep moving.
Yeah, try all the things.
Yeah.
All right. My body, when I ask it what it needs, guess what it says?
Always says coffee.
And wants some coffee. So let's go get some.
Hey everyone, Heather and I have an ask for you. If you love this episode or if you love the IGG, can you do us a favor? We need you to go onto whatever platform you listen on and download, subscribe, like, love, whatever it's asking you to do. Can you go do those things for us on the platforms that you listen on? It would mean so much to us.
Thanks for listening to our episode. For a way to get in touch with us, please visit our website, intuitivegirlsguide.com. We love hearing your feedback on our episodes.